Welcome to Seeing Scarlet. It is Shelby. I'm here with a little bit under the weather, Sibby. So everyone's sent her
Yeah,
good
no
mojo, good
kidding.
juju, good well wishes.
Thank you.
We might be a little short today because of that, but also there's only one Lady Raider game to talk about, so we don't have like a bunch of clips. Although let us get to talking. You never
Yeah,
know, but
I was
we're
about to say,
anticipating a little bit of a shorter show. But who knows? Hang out,
oh,
ask questions. As long as Sibby can survive, we will be here with you. Right?
I appreciate it.
She's
Yeah.
here battling through it, so we appreciate it, Sibby. But today we're going to talk about the Lady Raiders' win over TCU. Those
Ah,
Lizards took them down on Saturday to move to 5-4 at the end of the first half of Big 12 play. Now they get to go on the road, take the Lady Raider basketball that they've been playing at home, and do it on the road. I believe and
do it.
believe that they can get it done. Starts this Saturday in Cincinnati. We're going to talk about all that, as well as a really fun one they have later next week, where we'll talk about the men's basketball team going 1-1. Solid. Both games are on the road. You go 1-1 in two
Not bad.
road games on a week, and you'll take that all day. So I know the TCU game was upsetting for some people, but that's Big 12 basketball. So
Yeah.
there were some good things that things can clean up, but we'll talk about it. And track's just doing what track does. We'll talk about softball. We had a good interview. Go listen to it with Craig Snyder. It's out now. We have some coming out next week with players.
Yeah.
Softball starts next week. Baseball the week after. Things are heating up, so
I know. I know. We didn't even get to rest at all. It's just perpetual sports.
Yeah, that we did have a little
But
bit of
yeah.
a little more chill of a week this week.
Oh, that's true. Because I know. I was like, why am I not busy right now? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm supposed to be watching basketball. So I was like, texting you, Shelby, and I go, what am I supposed to do? I'm just a lost puppy. And she
Yeah.
goes, watch other games. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
I was like, cheer for all the teams that we've beaten, which
Yes.
everything we needed to happen last night happened. Even UTSA upset UNT,
Let's
which was
go.
low key a mover for us. We moved up a couple points in the net because
Okay.
of that. So that's what you can do on off nights, Lady Raider fans. We're trying to get them in the
Seriously.
tournament. They're going to take care of their business on the court. We need these other things to keep rolling in our favor. So everything worked out well last night for them, and we slowly are eking up there. Getting
Let's
back
go.
in the 50s would be nice. But
Yeah.
yeah, helpful in that was that went on Saturday. What were your thoughts on it? And then I'll go
Yeah.
from there. But your overall thoughts on the TCU win? They won
Yeah.
71-65.
Oh, it was a fun game to watch in from the second quarter and beyond.
Yes,
Because,
yes, yes. For sure.
y'all, like, it was 18-7 in the first quarter, and again,
Listen, I
toxic
don't.
trait, I'm like, "We're fine. We're good.
Yep.
I know the gals got it. They got me." And they did. In the second quarter, they went 25-8. That was a score, 25 outscoring them 25 to
Yep.
8. And then the second half, y'all, it was just a 1 point difference in both quarters. The third and fourth quarter is just 1 point difference. So
Yeah.
you could have gone to the game in the first half and like gone to get popcorn, came back to watch the second and been like, what the hell is this? It's totally different in some ways. But no, I loved watching them play as usual. It was a star show night from Logan Johnson. My goodness, we'll talk about her. Of course, our some other stars that shined really bright, but yeah, a game where we saw it kick into gear in the second quarter, and we'll talk about like coach and what she said about it too. It was pretty spot on. But yeah, getting that win over TCU was huge. It's always fun to get a win over TCU with like the rivalry factor that they've kind of slowly become, in my
Yeah.
opinion. I don't know if that's a hot take, but I've seen them as a constant threat and just like a sidebar. There's like some TikTok stars with TCU. Like their team is really popular for
It's
a lot
true.
of.
Yeah.
They're in the news a lot lately, so it was also
Don't
just
get me
like,
started.
I know. I'm like, change the subject. No, we'll be
Frickin'
here
Sports
forever
Center.
about it.
You got to be kidding me. But anyway,
Yeah.
continue.
So it's just like it was an interesting game to have like all these different pressures and all these different layers of what's been happening, and then we come and show out like that. I'll take it every time. So yeah, huge win over TCU, 71-65. I was pleased. Never had a doubt, but that's going to bite me at some point in time. Until then, wreck 'em.
I'm here for that. Yeah. I mean, we talked about in the preview last week that TCU is prone to fast starts. So in a way, I wasn't surprised. I was like, dang it, we couldn't avoid it because we talked about like you want to try and avoid it. But it did seem like we talked about that note last week. Like we need to find a way to not let those slow starts affect us, or furthermore, when teams like that get off to a fast start, affect us. because they were hitting shots. Now we were leaving them open, and we'll talk about. They definitely could have played a little bit better defense, but
Yeah.
TCU made like 4 or 5 threes to start that game in the first quarter, and you're just like, well, this is what they do.
Yep.
And they're basically playing 5 guards, and that's not normal really in basketball. So
Unless
it
you
is,
have
no
to.
matter how
Yeah.
much they practice it this week, it still takes a while to adjust to their speed and the way that they're moving around. And you kind of saw that. And then it's just an effort thing, and they buckled down in the second quarter. But they never looked frazzled to me. They didn't look like, oh crap, game's over, because you kind of saw that on their faces in past games.
Oh yeah.
Where they got down early, which was on the road, and you're like, oh, body language is rough. This game, the body language didn't look rough in the beginning. They just seemed like they were either prepared that TCU could get off to a fast start, that the coaches had prepared them for that possibility because TCU has done it, or they're just like, hey, y'all played pretty good. You just missed a bunch of shots. Just make them play better defense. You're fine. They didn't seem concerned. And then they went on a 17-0 run.
Let's go.
Which is wild. 17-0 run in that second quarter to take the lead, like Sibby illustrated. So that was my favorite part of the game, is they didn't let it get in their heads, because that was something we talked about last week, that we're getting that mentality back, because they had it early in the year. That was we were prone to slow starts early in the year, but we always came back. And then somewhere along the way we're prone to slow starts, but then weren't coming back. Either. So now we're getting that back, and now we can just keep piecing it together. So I saw someone say, we get comments like this, and guys, I just need people to understand how unrealistic this is, what you're asking, because they're like, yeah, if we could ever just get them to play like they did in that second quarter for 4 quarters. Well, yeah.
I think that's the point.
You do that, you'd be a top 5 team. Like, there's only so many teams that can do that. So I hear what you're saying, but like, that's asking a lot.
Yeah.
I would agree. Let's spread it out and be more even and get kind of consistent effort in all 4 quarters. But I'd rather take a booming quarter like that, you know what I mean, and then come back down to your average. You just don't want to dip below your average as well. You don't want to go booming and then nothing. So I'm cool. I'm cool with a 17-0 run here or there. Don't take that away from me. Give me that all day. So I appreciate that. Logan's first career start. Speaking about body language, he didn't even look like it was a big thing. I'm sure it was a big thing, but it didn't seem like she was like that concerned about it. She was just playing basketball. She's like, yeah,
did she notice? Gonna happen. Don't know.
Yeah, it's my time. Let me just go play basketball. So
freshman Logan Johnson.
Yeah, she had 13 points, 3 rebounds, and a steal.
Y'all,
I think she had 15 points in the game prior to that. I'll fight you on this, Big 12. I feel like she was robbed.
Yeah.
Big 12 freshman of the week. I get it. The Iowa State girl that got it. All respect. She's dominating. She averaged like 25 points a game this week. But correct me if I'm wrong. Iowa State lost both of their games.
Nobody's going to correct you because you're right.
Yeah. So this is like just an offensive award, apparently, because Logan Johnson contributed on defense. She contributed on energy. She was on the floor. She's the reason we won both those games, and she had double-digit figures. Anyway,
let us talk to the committee. We'll talk to y'all.
Should have given it to Logan Johnson. 2-0 on the week. First career start. Double digits in both games. Good defensive numbers in both games. I'm a little annoyed by that, but not that annoyed.
We can't tell.
Audie Crooks is balling out. Like, she deserves it. Don't get me wrong, but your team was 0-2, so it has to have some sort of a weighing factor in it. I didn't realize this was just a stat award, but I guess it is.
Maybe it is. I wonder what the criteria is, but yeah, if you could illustrate her. I mean, what you were saying too, what it made me think of was composure, like, they got down early, and we have seen where it's tough. Like that body language piece that you're talking about. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm having flashbacks of like, oh, I don't want to think about those times. But what they showed this game was that level of maturity and acceptance. And I think we've talked about this before in games earlier, but accepting the reality. TCU is not a bad team. They have great guards, some that are ranked top whatever in the nation. Like they're a really good team. So for us to be like, all right, they're shooting that, from outside, and they're sinking them, they're doing well. How can we adapt and, keep that composure that we have to have in order to excel with our strengths? And that's what they did. What a great way to display that. And especially knowing the younger, Logan Johnson having a show out performance, freshman, Jazzy Shavers, sophomore. Like, we can talk about that all day long.
That starting lineup, was it 3 sophomores, a freshman, and then a junior and Jordan. She might be listed
What
as a senior, but she has a year left.
heck? Yeah,
3
like,
sophomores and a freshman. So that's
and
why
they're
all that storyline about TCU. Okay, yeah, cool. We're
yeah,
starting 3 sophomores and a freshman. You ain't getting
yeah.
sympathy from us. Like, we're
We
just
know.
here for playing for like, let us play, you know? So yeah, they're a good team.
Yeah.
We expected them to shoot well.
Yeah.
65% from 3.
That is nuts, dude.
It's wild. Like, there's all this talk. We'll talk about the men's game at TCU about, yeah, it just happens when a team shoots 55% from 3. You're going to lose every time, is what the note is, because that's what the men's team did against Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Well, the women's TCU team shot 65% against us, and we still found a way to win. That was more. They made 13 threes, just more than half of their points that they had.
Yeah.
What came from 3. So that's how they play, especially now. But that's how they played all year. I think they put out stats that they're like tops in the country in threes attempted, 3-point percentage.
Dang.
They're all up there in all those categories. It's what they do. So they do it well. I would say we kind of played with our food, is how I would describe it, in the third quarter a little bit.
Frog legs.
Yeah, we got up by like 12 or so, and then we kind of let off a little bit on the defensive end. We were making shots. I mean, we had an opportunity to really blow that thing out. We'd make a 3, and then instead of getting back, they get a wide open 3, and they'd make it. You give TCU wide open 3s, they're going to make it. And then we'd go make another 3, and they would make a 3. We'd go make a layup, and then they would make it. And I'm like, can we get a stop?
Can you all stop?
Yeah. Because we scored like 20-something points in that third quarter. Like, our offensive output was great.
Yeah.
Defensively, we could have been better in that third quarter. I think they know that. That is something they can get better at. We're getting better every game. So I'd expect them to do that. That's a learning experience. You got away with that, and you still won because you were able to match them offensively. But I don't think we want to get into offensive back and forth with basketball. Like, we want to get stops. Like, that's what this team's built on.
Yep.
We can certainly play offense when we need to, and we proved that in this game to be able to get it done late and score the way we needed to. But it would have been nice if we had just kept that 12, 15-point lead. But credit to TCU. They made some tough shots. They have some good players and some good shooters. But that was probably the only thing that you're like, oh, man, that third quarter. But I think we held them scoreless for like the final 7 minutes or so. They might have only scored like 3 minutes in the last 7 minutes because they came back and tied it, which, speaking of body language, that was a gut check moment, is when TCU ties it after you up like 12 or 15. And I was like, ooh,
that's hard.
Here's a test. Here's a test for a young team. And we just buckled down and played good defense and got the lead back, and then closed it out from there and didn't let them score for the last 6 or 7 minutes of the game. So definitely a roller coaster end game. But we talked last week about how the end game adversity we haven't handled it as well. That's 2 games in a row now where they handled some end game adversity. Some of it self-imposed, some of it from the other team putting that on you. And that was good to see as they get ready to go on the road where they're going to face a lot of it.
No kidding. Yeah. And I'm looking at the box score too. TCU having 22 turnovers. Like, when you see a stat like that,
they don't turn it over a lot either. So
is that like a measurement of what kind of chaos our defense was causing for them? Like, how do you read that stat, I guess, with knowing the game?
Well, I think that was definitely part of the game plan, right? And that's part of the game plan for this team all year is we press.
Yeah.
But we don't necessarily press just because like we're expecting to get a steal every time. We press knowing it's going to wear them down. So that's why if you look at that box score, I don't know this off the top of my head, I could be wrong, but if you look at TCU's point totals in the second and the fourth quarter, I bet they're not very high, right? Compared to the point totals in the first.
Correct. The second quarter was 8 and the fourth was 13.
Yeah, that's exactly what our defense is built to do, especially on a team that's only playing 7 players.
Oh.
It's built to wear them down. And so then they're going to start turning it over more. Yeah, we're going to get turnovers even in the first quarter. We had some. We're going to force them into turnovers playing just press because teams aren't used to that. But where we really won that game is they get tired legs. They start making lazy passes. Cool. They start missing shots because their legs are tired.
Right.
That's part of it. So so it's creating chaos, but it's really forcing a team to play under pressure a whole game, which people don't like to do. We talked about this early in the year. That's what the teams that press have to do. They have to be willing to give up some baskets. I think there might be some adjustments coming on that because we gave up quite a few in the third quarter off of our press that needs to be cleaned up, but it pays off in that fourth quarter. It pays off in that second quarter where teams like that are getting tired. Now, where you get into trouble is teams that have the depth. You think of like an Oklahoma. We couldn't wear Oklahoma down, so we couldn't lean on that because they have a deep bench. But it works for a lot of teams because there's a lot of teams that just aren't very deep, especially in conference. So that's kind of the answer. But we also just play we're getting better even in half-court defense. And TCU, this new version of it, they have younger guards, so they turn it over. They turn it over more than they're used to. But yeah.
Yeah, and already knowing that TCU had a short bench entering this game, that's I would imagine a strategy of our coaching staff, and that just made me think of how much we've celebrated them on this show. We continue to do.
Bias, but it's true.
I know, whatever. Yes, correct. But it's really cool to see how, we're continuing to trust them and what their mission is, and seeing things like that. And that's cool to know too about the turnovers, because you can see that stat and also apply it with like the wave of the game, and it makes sense. So that's really cool to
we're at our best when we're able to get turnovers and score off them, because our offense is getting better, and it's looked a little bit better the last couple of games, like ball movement and stuff, but we still have a tendency to like go on scoring droughts. And how do you fix that? Well, you play defense, go get you some easy ones. And that's what they've been better at lately. So speaking of defense, we'll give a couple of shout outs to some more players before we show highlights. Jasmine Shavers led us in points, but she also led us in defensive stop percentage. It was something like 83% of the possession she was on the court for. The other team didn't score. Which is kind of silly. So I don't know, like it was kind of silly. And she had 5 steals, led the team in steals. That might be a career high in steals for her, and 5 rebounds. And something I've noticed about her the last couple of games is she's been really her drives, because Jazzy can kind of get to the rim at will in a lot of games. But these last couple of games, she's been really poised and had really good pace to her game. That's something that Bailey's usually pretty good at in the lane as well, but Jazzy's getting that too, and that's where you see those passes coming now, because she's playing with a good pace.
Oh my gosh.
She's able to see her teammates and make good passes, but she's also taking contact and getting and ones instead of trying to like finesse around them. There's moments for that. I don't want her to lose that, because she has some really nice those hook finesse shots she can do.
Yeah, she knows.
But there's also times that she's strong. I mean, Jazzy Shavers is strong.
She showed us.
Play with that poise and pace, take the contact, go up, get an and one, or at least get a foul drawn, is probably a higher percentage than trying to make a crazy wild hook shot layup. Save that for when it's the only option you have. You know what I mean? So I've been really impressed with that, because she's been starting to become a little more of a playmaker too. And we talked about how cool that is if her and Maupin both start to do that.
Yeah. And we got to see glimpses of that from Jasmine Shavers last year, and around this time, I guess, a little bit of the part of the season. But it's really, we'll talk about this more, and we have a quote from Coach about this team and their improvement. But I'm so with you on watching Jasmine Shavers grow and like in that toughness. And I think, kind of seeing multiple sides of her game and where to improve. And that's what we get to see, is their improvement. And Jasmine's nothing short of that. And I mean, we'll continue to talk about most of this team with that same message, but it's so cool. Like Kyla Freeland, I can't wait to talk about her in this game. Like Jordan Merritt, Logan Johnson. It's just such a fun team to watch, and specifically on like how they're improving. And Jasmine Shavers, as you said, this was a great game for her to see more of that confidence, and like, you do you, girl, you know who you are. We know who it is too. And when we see that clicking, it's we see performances like this consistently. Like that was such a highlight for her last season, is like that consistency that we always knew we were going to be talking about her, and we were talking good about her, and that's where we're getting to now. So it's really, really cool. Great game from her.
For sure. We can show these highlights and you get to see people doing what they do. It was a really well-rounded game for a lot of people. Jazzy led us in scoring, but Jordan Merritt had 16. Logan Johnson had 13. Bailey had a nice floor game, 12 points, 6 rebounds. And Kyla Freeland, you mentioned, led the team in assists with 5, which has got to be a career high for her. So that was pretty cool. And she had 6 points. So our starters did a lot of the work, not a lot of points off the bench, but Jada and Enrique and Ashley came in and do what they do. Ashley had some good, and she had a step back 3, which I hope is in this highlight package.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
She had some moments as well. They just play solid basketball for us when we need them in there.
It is. Yeah. It's such a good highlight package too, because of the things that you talked about. There's a pass in here from Jasmine Shavers. It's like a behind the back. I want y'all to look for that clip. It's somewhere buried in here. But yeah, it's a really good package put together here.
Somewhere buried in here. A little Harlem Globetrotters moment. All right.
Yeah, for real.
Start off with defense.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
we love the best.
Too easy.
She's
That was a
back.
great start to the game, and then
Yes.
nothing else from the first quarter was. No, this is another move from Jordan. Jordan's been so good
Jordan
lately.
Merritt, yeah, that step out.
Flint Pearson is doing work with Jordan right now. Love that. It was a good way to start the second quarter. Get a Jordan.
Turn on
spin
him.
cycle moves.
Turn on him.
Jordan dropping them. Here's one of those passes, I think. Oh, no,
Yeah, go strong then.
There's her. That's
what's up. That's what's up.
Gets up and defends every time, even if she's not scoring. She understood that was her role and how she could help the team.
Nice. We love the
Logan.
You know, she was their leader.
Silly.
Oh. Hey, that girl she just did that on won a national championship with Stanford.
Yeah. Logan.
She's so steady. So steady.
I love the little kick.
I love that. She does do that little kick a lot. I don't know
have
what that's
seen
about.
it. Yeah.
It's a Bailey trademark.
Yeah. Get big. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about.
This is a big shot. We were in a bit of a scoring drought when that happened. It starts the third.
Much needed.
And then that.
Oh.
That's not the first time she's done that same move either.
No.
And then this was a huge three. Logan just really stepped up in huge moments in this game.
She did.
This was a big three. I love Bailey's Bailey was in a shooting slump, which for any other normal person is just like not even considered a slump. It was a game and a half.
Of the game.
A game and a half, and she got the three in, so it was good to see.
Got to sharpen it up a little bit against their pressure.
Oh, in the face. I remember when she did that.
And this is the stretch where we were making them, then they were making them. If we could have played better defense right here, we're up by like 15 or something at the end of the third. So that's a learning point for them. But offensively, we played pretty well in the third quarter, to say the least.
Pull up.
This rebound was huge. You can see the score right now.
Yes.
They had come back. It was a big moment in the game.
Good deflection there. They're trying to ice that screen, keep it on the
That's the pass we were talking about. She did credit for the assist because we missed the first.
I know. I saw that too.
But yeah, we'll let us play again for you guys. Yeah, it was a good game. Again, there's definitely defensively, I don't think at times it was our best effort. Effort's probably the word, but I give them grace because of the type of offense they were playing and you're having to chase them around, right? So it was tough, and they just let them get too many open looks. But it's good to face that. Now you're going on the road to face a couple of, we'll talk about them in a minute, but teams they're very different in styles. But that's one of the Big 12's fun is you get to face a lot of different styles. So should we make the tournament as it's our goal, we're going to be prepared for a lot of different styles of play. And this one is an interesting one, the way that TCU plays, and they're just getting threes up. And we get to play them again later in the year, and they might have their big back by then. I'm not sure, but either way, it was a good win. 5-4, take it all day.
Yeah. I know. I feel like it was such a fun game to watch, but now I'm like, I don't even know really what else to say about it because it was good, clean basketball. And for the most part, especially in that second half and once things were starting to click for all of them. I mean, these backdoor passes that we're so good at, these cuts, Jordan Merritt with like this hook shot almost when she is driving around that paint, and Kyla Freeland too. When we were going back and forth like you were talking about, Kyla is so athletic that even in this clip, they're like the commentators are talking about the play that just happened. Kyla's already on the other end of the court, like ready to receive that pass, and that's exactly what happened. Even the camera person was like a little too late. So nice to see
Kyla's
from
capable
her.
of that. She
had
a little bit of a slump in the middle there, but she's getting it back, and I think teams were just starting to figure her out a little bit more, and she was getting more attention.
Here it is.
And here's that play,
Yeah.
She's capable of that against a lot of teams, and we'll probably see that again coming up here, especially against Cincinnati, who likes to crash the boards and get a lot of offensive rebounds. There's going to be opportunities. I don't know how much she's going to be leaking because we'll need her rebounding, but there's going to be opportunities to get down the court in that way. So, just a lot of fun, a fun game. Jordan, great game. Good moments for everybody else. And we're set up well at the end of the first half. A Big 12 play. A couple of fun notes I found on players we didn't talk too much about in this game, but that's just classic them, is Asher Chevalier ranks 3rd in the conference in it's called Danny Miles value point system. It's a way that you calculate how good a player actually is based on like what they're doing in a game.
Yeah.
So like the formula would be like points, rebounds, and then it adds like assists, charges taken, steals,
Okay.
blocks, and I think those are all like times 2 maybe. You get
Okay.
extra for like steals and charges and blocks, all the things that she does.
Yes.
And then you divide that by like free throws
Minutes.
missed,
Okay.
fouls,
Oh.
turnovers, like all those negative type plays, right? That
Okay.
you don't, it's not so much, points can matter, but it's all the other things. She's 3rd in the Big 12 in this point system.
Yeah.
Or
Of course.
across Big 12 play after
That is
9 games. So I thought that was
awesome.
cool to see. That's been around for years. That's a stat that's been around for
Yeah.
years. Some people use it, some people don't, but a lot of coaches like believe in that heavily because it tells you who is actually the one making the most impact on the floor in a lot of ways. And was unsurprised to see that Ashley led our team in that stat. Was surprised to see that she was 3rd in the Big 12 of qualifying players, but also not actually when you think about it. So,
it's I mean, it's helpful to have some type of structure to articulate like outside of the box score, this is how Ashley is impacting the game. And in this highlight reel, the commentator at some point in time, we scored, and they said like, that's because of Ashley. That was because of Ashley. And if you had that comment for every time something really good came out of what Ashley's hustle was, you'd be saying it almost all game. So,
and it's not even like hustle. I mean, definitely her effort is 100%, but I want to make it clear that she's also just a really skilled and technical player on defense and what she does.
Totally right.
She's not going to sit there and fill it up every game shooting, but she does everything else that matters so much, and you see that. And she had a nice little step back 3 in this game, which I was like, okay, Ashley.
Okay, Ashley.
And then another player in that same vein, Jada, leads our team in plus or minus in the Big 12 play by like 33 points.
Damn.
She's plus 29. And you can do the math on that. No, that means no one else is even in the positive in Big 12 play. Since she's plus 29 in games. So that's pretty big number there. That was wild when I pulled that up.
Yeah.
Because as a team right now, we're negative because we've had our losses have been big, right? And our wins have been, we'll get that. We're teetering on the edge of being in the positive as a team.
Yeah.
But she's plus 29. Next closest is like -4. So
what?
Given and I'm like, she played in every single one of those games, right? But I don't know. I'm trying to remember if she didn't play in Texas or why it's so high. But that just tells you the kind of player when she's on the court, she's typically making things happen in the way she is. And she is a versatile defender that we might see have an impact against Cincinnati, really, because they have some size against us at different positions. So
yeah, I mean,
shout out those two. I always like to give the ones that are under the radar, not putting up double figures. But when you pull up the stats, it's not just us saying it. Like, they legit analytics wise are doing the dang thing for this team.
Yeah, and like another transfer on the team too. So with Jada and Ashley a while ago, and then also Jordan Merritt. That's what's cool too, is we've talked to some of these players in either interviews or done previews of them when they were recruited here. And so seeing them thrive with Coach Gerlich's method is so hype. And again, like the improvement, this was a really great game from Jordan, I thought too. And it's like not surprising really to hear that stat about Jada, because when she is in the game, I feel like I'm like, there's good's gonna happen. She's gonna make a 3 probably, and good things are gonna happen. So those are good stats, and especially with Ashley, like,
it makes sense.
That dog
when you're that's one of the only metrics you're gonna find that counts things like charges,
right,
skills,
where she's doing it.
She's taking those things and doesn't turn it over a lot. That's her biggest thing.
Oh, girl.
It's like Bailey's probably would be pretty high on that list too if she once she gets her turnovers down. But those turnovers are what hurt you, and she doesn't turn it over down a lot. And she's taking charges. She's getting assists, rebounds, all the things, blocks, all that stuff's counted in there. So shout out those two. Shout out everyone. Excited. I think you have a clip in here, something you talked about from Gerlich or something you wanted to say before we move on.
Oh, yeah. So I wasn't at the game, but there was over 7,500 people there, which is, I think, their average or way above their average. And y'all, like, we spend our time just loving the crap out of these teams and telling y'all how great they are and how fun they are to watch. And Coach Gerlich in her presser, I'm going to read the quote word for word because that's how we do it with our queen. But I thought this was really powerful to talk about the home court advantage and to just inspire y'all to go watch this team. And she said, what a great, great crowd. I cannot emphasize that enough. If you don't put anything else on the news, please put that piece on it.
Tell them, coach. Tell them.
I know. She's like, forget everything else I said. This is what matters. Because we need that. We need that help. These girls are super fun to watch and super fun to coach, and they are just going to get better and better. Our home crowd gives us that edge, and they certainly helped us out tonight. I just want to thank everyone that came out. Coach Gerlich won a national championship for this school. Like, she knows what she's talking about.
People realize like how cool that is.
Like, how cool is
think about that more.
She held the trophy with Cheryl Swoops, like legends. So I don't know.
Both of them are legends. Yes.
They are. Yeah, and both doing amazing work. And so it's just a really special time in basketball, in Texas Tech basketball, that has needed something like this. And now it's a great opportunity to watch it as it happens. And with the rise of women's sports, as we continuously talk about, it was awesome to see that number of attendance, and for Coach Gerlich to be like, that was sick. Let's keep it up, y'all.
Keep it coming. Yeah.
I just wanted to read that. That was like a really intentional thing that, I mean, obviously she's like, hey, if you're going to say anything, say this. So, if there's ever a challenge of y'all getting to the game, like, reach out to Seeing Scarlet. We got you. We've gotten people to games.
We will get you to the game.
Yeah, we will get you to the game in some way.
They're gone for a while, but they'll be back for the big UCF. Is that the Alumni Day game? Is the next home game?
That'll be
promoting, and it's a fun doubleheader. The men play right before the women, and then so a lot of people are coming into town, so they can go to both games. So I'm expecting that'll be a pretty big crowd, and they're honoring Lady Raider alumni, like players that are be in town as well. So it should be a fun game, and I'm hoping it'll be a good crowd. I hope the students stick around after the men's game and do what they do. I think they did that one time last year, and it was a fun one. So not only is it be a good crowd.
Alumni game, but it's also Girl Scout night, and that to me says cookies. So gobble gobble. Anyway, but yeah, you're right. UCF on February 10th. But let's talk about Cincinnati. Let's talk about West Virginia. We got those two games coming up, and where do you want to start? Cincinnati, February 3rd?
I mean, you got to start with the one that's next, right? You got to go in order. As much as
Shelby,
we want to look ahead to the next one, we can't.
Let's talk about the last game of the season.
Let's skip to the end of the year.
March 2nd.
Let's skip to the tournament matchup. We play Cincinnati on the road.
Yeah.
Big chance here to go on the road again and get it done at Cincinnati. It's Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Time. For you Texas folk. Watch it, ESPN Plus, first step. Second step, we talked about it a little bit last week if you listened. Cincinnati's just really tough, gritty, we're going to outwork you type team. So that's my first thing. We got to, listen, I can sit here all day and say that we should win this game, that we're capable of winning this game. The team has to go do it, and they know that. But the margin for error is not that big. Yeah, we are favored in this game, but it's 6 points. You're not going to be favored in many games in Big 12 play by a lot, right? Nobody is. Yeah. I think even when Kansas State went to Cincinnati, I looked it up, they were favored by like 10. Like, you're just not going to be favored by a lot on the road in the Big 12. And so 6 points can be evaporated like that if you just handle the ball or make dumb turnovers. So we got to go up there understanding that the margin is slim, take every possession seriously, and play tough, because we talked about it last week. They were sense weakness. They were sense you playing soft. That'll give them confidence. Show up and be tough, but we know you can be tough. We know they can. So that's my first thing, is you got to do that. And it's got to be relentless, because Cincinnati, that's just what they do. They know who they are. They know what they're good at, and they know what they're not good at. They're not a great shooting team. I'm not saying that they won't make some threes. I'm not saying they won't make some mid-range shots. I am saying what they want to do is either get the ball to their front court players. Their leading scorer is their forward center, Killian Hayes. She's good. She averages, I think she's only won in double figures for them. But outside of that, their guards even are putting their heads down and just to the rim, to the rim,
hope
to the rim,
hope
to the rim. Oh, if you stop them, they'll maybe try to do a mid-range shot. I think we can take a lot of charges in this game, but you're going to have to be willing to do it, because
Bailey
they ain't going to be, Bailey, wear those padded shorts, because these girls are going to be coming in like trains. And they're going to keep
For
doing it and be
real.
like, yeah, you might take a charge on this possession. Are you going to do it again? Because it's going to hurt. If you step in front of us, it's going to hurt. And so they're kind of banking on you not doing that. They draw a lot of fouls. So they're also good at avoiding the charge. People do this. This is not an unusual strategy, right? They're going to expect that. And they're good at drawing fouls. I think they're top 5 in Big 12 play and free throws attempted. So that's kind of their game. Like, they don't shoot it well. Overall, 35% from the field, 26% from 3 as a team, 39% from 2s. Their game is to get to the free throw line, and they're 7th in the country, and the percentage of their total points that come for the free throw line.
Okay.
We do that a lot too, but we're not 7th. We're like 40th in the country, right? We're kind of similar teams. We just shoot it a little better and have a little more efficient offense elsewhere. They really, really, really rely on getting to the free throw line and their toughness and rebounding. They're really high up there in rebounds in the country. I think they're top 3 in the Big 12 in rebounding per game. Damn. Like, and these are all areas that we struggle with, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying, like, we got to go in there ready to play. Yeah. So, and I'm confident they will be, but Cincinnati's watching the film being like, oh, we can rebound against these people. That's what they're thinking. That's what they're thinking right now. We can get rebounds against them. We may miss our shot, but we'll get another possession. We'll make it on the 2nd or the 3rd or the 4th try. We'll just stay down there until we can make it. Like, that's how they play. And if you watch them against Texas, if you look at the box score against Texas, they kind of were hanging with Texas for a while because they could bring that physicality and they were rebounding it okay. What happened in that game is they were not getting to the line. Texas wasn't fouling on it. Texas was the one getting to the line. And that was kind of where the disparity came. I think they ended up losing by 20 or something. But they played some people close. They obviously beat Oklahoma State, as we talked about. They're a tough team. They're a gritty team. And they'll definitely outwork you if you let them outwork you. And they have enough skilled players that can make a couple of shots here or there. My thing in this game is, like, they're going to make shots. They're going to get rebounds every once in a while. Just make them work for it. Like, legitimately make them work for it. And then don't get down when they make a shot. Don't get mad when there's a bad call. There's going to be bad calls.
There always are.
Especially on the road. The home team's going to get the whistle. Be like, that sucks. Go play defense. Go get a shot on the other end. Like, just kind of tip your cap. Make them make a hard shot. Don't foul them. Don't send them to the line. Be like, if they make a wild layup,
cool.
Good for you. If they make a 3, which isn't something they're used to doing, good for you.
Sure.
Just don't send them to the free throw line 30 times.
Right. Yeah.
You can get out of there with a win. So that's kind of the gist of it to start. I don't know if you have any thoughts from there.
No. Great analysis. I think it was a really fitting game that we had with TCU, and we talked about this in the way of
very different teams.
Yeah, we didn't get to talk. We didn't get to talk about TCU because it was so long ago. But I think a good warm up in a variety of ways, and also to have like some of that rest to understand like how different of a team since Cincinnati's going to be, a new foe in the Big 12, like all of that. And yeah, it's just very fascinating to know of how teams play and hear how they are playing and thinking about what would be what we have to do, like where our strengths are and stuff like that. So
I think there's definitely ways we can take advantage. I'm not going to sit here and
but how helpful
the coaches know what they are, and they'll
that's why
there's going to be a good game plan. It's just up to the players to execute. But
I know, and having that composure from TCU, I think I hope to see carry on. When you were saying like, if they're going to make that shiny layup, all right, but like having that composure, I think that's where I'm getting at, is like TCU was nice because we had that opportunity to practice that and to be in those moments. So do it to them, y'all.
Yeah, go do the damn thing. You've been playing Lady Raider basketball at home. Please take Lady Raider basketball on the road and show these cats what's up. It'll be interesting to see what they do. I watched some of that Houston game the other night. By God, it was not a fun basketball game to watch, but that's what they want it to be. So, and their coach knows it too, because before the game, she was like, yeah, I expect the score to be in the 40s or the 50s. I was like, no way. It was like 48-52 in like the end of the 4th quarter. And I was like, she knew that was her plan. That they want to make it an ugly basketball game. They want to make it ugly basketball, right? And that's how they can win. And we're comfortable playing in that world, so we can do that too if that's what they want to take it.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping we can maybe do some other things. They tend to turn over quite a bit. They've been better at it of late, so I'm hoping our press can bother them. They did decently against Houston against theirs, but I think our press is better. So we'll see that they've been facing a lot of press lately, so they're ready for it. And I think the biggest thing is we just got to bring the energy as well.
Yeah.
Someone asked us this on Twitter actually earlier today. We were talking about it, and they're like, why did they win at Houston and they can't win anywhere else? And I was like, that's a good question. And the only thing I can think is one, I don't know, that's a whole factor. The only factor that makes sense to me is like that they started so fast in that game is I was at that game and it didn't really feel like a away game. There were so many Texas Tech fans there. So I don't know if they were feeding off the energy. And if that's what is getting to them on the road then that's on the bench. Like if you're not in that game, you're not talking to a coach, you're not catching your breath, be as obnoxious as the coaching staff allows, obviously. Don't get in trouble, but be as obnoxious and loud, chanting defense. I mean, I was watching a Big 12 game the other day. I won't name names because I don't want to give them credit because it's an opposing team, but they were on the road and they were outmanned a little bit and they were down about 8 and this team forced a shot clock violation and their bench went crazy as if they had just won the national championship.
All right. Hey,
and it fired their team up so much they went on an 8-0 run, they tied it, they ended up losing this game. But that stuff, that energy matters, and I think they get it at home. And they might have gotten it a little bit at Houston because there were so many Texas Tech fans there. Something tells me there's not Texas Tech fans going, a lot of them hanging out in Cincinnati, Ohio.
The old Midwest.
Probably weren't a lot in Provo, Utah either.
Correct.
So it's on the bench. Maybe they've been doing that and we don't see the cameras, not focus on them, but
that matters.
Bring the heat. And if you are in Cincinnati, Ohio, Red Raiders, show up to the game. Sit behind the bench and go crazy. You be the one going crazy, being obnoxious for them.
If you're a Cincinnati fan and you want to be a Red Raider fan, you don't even have to change your colors. It's still red and black.
If you are in a fight with your university for some reason over something,
you're feeling resentful. Come on,
you just found our show and you're like, they seem cool. I'm going to root for them.
Yes,
we're here for it. Send us a message. We'll tell you all the cheers.
Yes, we will.
Raider power. Just yell Raider really loud and wait for someone to yell that.
Just tell everybody, wreck them. You'll be fine.
Wreck them.
But yeah, the energy, and I think too, like what Coach Gerlich was talking about with the TCU game of just how important that is with the crowd. And you're right, like that home court advantage, it's that energy. And so I know our bench has it, and
we know there's some
what
fun
you were talking about.
Down there,
it's there. But I mean, bringing that heat would be so cool to see. So I hope to see.
They need it. Even like I said, even that if you're down 10, like you need it even more. Like the bench. The bench should never have bad body language. The bench should be juice all the time.
I like that.
In my opinion, now obviously do what the coaches tell you to do, but I say be as obnoxious as you're allowed to be, especially when the other team is on your end, like the first half when they're shooting in front of our bench. I'm talking clap at them, defensive chants, stomping their feet.
We're learning exactly who you were as a player, aren't we? We are understanding who you were as a player right now.
Maybe we should move on.
Over here clapping, yelling at him. Oh, I would love to see it.
Do what you gotta do.
I'd love to see it. Let's do let's ask Coach if we can do a celeb guest. There's not any room on that bench, actually. I was like, give us a chair. We'll add to the.
Absolutely not.
I know they wouldn't ever, but
absolutely
like,
but we'd bring the energy.
We would bring the energy.
I'd probably get
damn sure.
You don't want me to get us a technical
thrown out for damn sure. I would love it. We would go down in history as Red Raider.
They get fired up though. They'd be fired up.
You're damn right. You're damn right. We'll talk about it later. That's 2025.
If you need us, coach. If you need us, coach, just give us a call. West Virginia's not too far from here. It's actually a lot farther. Someone asked me. That was the other quick thing I got on Facebook. Like, Shelby, you going to the game? I don't think people realize how far Morgantown is from Raleigh, North Carolina. It's not all that close.
Are you going to tell us how far? How far of a drive? Come on. You're talking to a bunch of Texans.
Honestly, I would guess it's 10 hours.
Oh, come on. That's a Lubbock to Houston. Shelby.
Yeah, I would probably do if it wasn't on Tuesday.
That's true. Good point.
Think about it, but
yeah.
Anyway, they'll get it done. So moving on.
Let's talk about
Cincinnati before we talk about that game in Morgantown. No?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That one has a little bit of extra motivation for us.
Hey.
If you know the story, you know it. We'll leave it at
that.
You know.
This is where we get all of our questions. Everybody's like, what are you talking about, Shelby? Hold on. Yeah.
If you know. There's a lot of extra motivation for our players there. Also, West Virginia's just a good team. They've only lost 2 games all year. They're ranked in the top 25. I think they're 23 currently. They'll definitely go up unless they drop the game to BYU on Saturday, but I'd assume they're favored in that pretty good. So They get that one. They could be top 20 when we play them on Tuesday. They press. They do a lot of the things we do, right? They have had the benefit of not having a lot of injuries, so they've played the same starting 5 the whole season, so they're very cohesive. And they know each other very well, and they kind of on a string out there on defense. They have really, really quick hands, really active hands, really impressively quick, active hands. We have to be strong with the ball. I'm talking not just in the press. Like if you're on the block and holding the ball, if you hold it for 1 beat too long and you're looking at your teammates, they will just take it out of your hands.
Yeah.
Now, if we're strong with the ball, you can then get a foul on them because you'll win that. So that's all you got to be. They kind of reminded me when you watch them play of, I believe it was UC Irvine that had such impressively fast, quick hands when we played them earlier this year. West Virginia has some impressively fast, quick hands on defense. But so if I was them, I'd be like thinking back to that game, how we struggled with it in the first half, how we did not struggle with it in the second half once we had some familiarity with it. I would say West Virginia does it even better because they have Power 5 talent. But the hands, quickness-wise, UC Irvine was really good at that, and West Virginia as well. Cornerly, JC, I believe is her name, something like that. Cornerly, their lead guard. She's an first team all Big 12 type player. She averages like 18 a game or something. Great on both ends. I mean, her hands are ridiculous. Like Bailey, Jazzy, Ashley. I mean, they got it head on a swivel. Like she's trying to steal it every time. The whole team is, but she's really good at it. And just try to be smart with the ball and catch her, putting her hand in the cookie jar, get a foul on her, take her to the rim on those moments instead of letting her get the steal, which is easier said than done, is what she does. But teams that have been able to kind of avoid just giving them those easy steals basically in your own end, like they'll just take it from you in the lane, really good at it, and then just get really easy layups. And then before you know what's happening, you're down 15. Is kind of how they go. Yeah. Teams that are able to slow that down a little bit, play a little bit back and forth, seem to have a better chance against them. They have another guard, Harrison, who came over with the head coach from SFA. We watched some of her. You probably don't remember this. We watched some of her tape in preparation for the WNIT game against
memories.
Arkansas.
Yeah.
Because I brought her up because SFA played Arkansas, and I said, SFA had this really quick little guard that was causing Arkansas problems. I think Ashley could cause Arkansas problems. That was that whole thing that I was saying then. This is her. She transferred with that coach to West Virginia. And she's done really well for them, even coming from that level up. But she is a little smaller. That's why I'm like, maybe Ashley can give her some trouble on defense. She's not used to people that can have that same quickness that can stay with her.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But she's very quick and just kind of she gets to wherever she wants to on the court, passes it well, or makes her shots. So those are kind of the two drivers of that offense. They have some good bigs. They have a rim protector, but I think Jordan is more athletic than their rim protector. She might have a couple inches on her. I don't know. I didn't look it up. But if Jordan keeps playing the way she's playing, I think she can score on her a little bit. But that girl's pretty good too. So they're a well-rounded team. It is what it is. But if we use that emotion, there's going to be emotion behind this game and an extra motivation, and let it focus us. Yeah. It needs to focus us. Will you walk into that game like ready to kill? You know what I mean? And not so amped up and so tense and so ready to go that it hurts you. It's a fine line. You can definitely use this stuff to motivate you. But like getting on the ground for loose balls and all that, like the coaches should not, especially in this game, Cincinnati as well, though, the coaches should not at one point in either of these games need to be coaching our team on hustling or energy. Like they need to be self-regulating that by now. And if they start doing that and let the coaches like just coach, we'll start winning these road games. But yeah, West Virginia should be fun. We're not going to be favored.
Okay.
We're not. But that'll be the first game in a while we won't be favored. Yeah. And so there's a lot of like, we're the underdog. Just go out there and play nothing to lose kind of attitude, especially if you win that game on Saturday. You have a little confidence now on the road. You can't get caught looking ahead. We're talking about it because we don't talk to y'all until then. But the players, I'm not saying don't pretend like it doesn't exist. We know it all. Yeah. We know they know it exists. But they definitely need to be focused on the Cincinnati game. But they get that one. Show up to this one. It should be fun. So.
Okay, well, I am going through our predictions that we made.
You picked this one.
I picked this one as a win, and I'm even going to take it a step further. And I know you talked about
double down.
like let Ashley have a game in this one, and like you have it in the notes, and I'm just thinking like, ooh, this is gonna be fun for her to see her.
Size wise, it's a good matchup. I could see Jazzy being able to post this girl up a little bit on offense. She did that against Iowa State some against their guard. I could see that. But yeah, Ashley could be important on defense in this one for sure. I think defensively we're going to need to be up to the task because even if they break, I mean, it's going to be an interesting game because both teams are going to press.
Right.
We'll see how that goes. Usually teams that press don't like to be pressed, that whole mentality. Yeah. So we'll see how they like it. We've faced the press a couple times with Houston, but West Virginia's press is definitely a lot better. And they kind of play it the full court. Sometimes they'll play like a 1-2-2 trapping press into a 1-2-2 trapping zone. So they'll just keep it and they'll trap you on it's not just a full court thing for them. It's a havoc all over you on defense the whole game. So we just come strong with the ball. We should
fun matchup.
You should find some open teammates in this one for open shots because they're going to be trapping. So someone else has to be open, but they're banking on you panicking. That episode we talked about, their eyes panicking. They're banking on that happening to people, and it happens more times than not. So we just gotta play calm and do.
It's gonna be a fun matchup. I've always West Virginia has always just been an outlier, not like a rival.
It's a tough place to play too.
It's so tough to play there, because do the women play in that arena too?
Yeah, it's a weird arena, or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's nuts in there. I don't know if any of y'all have been in there, but it is nuts in there. So I think it's going to be such a hype game to watch in a variety of ways. But yeah, we got another game with Cincinnati coming up before we get there on Saturday.
Yeah,
so
I wonder if
I'll watch.
Surely they're not going home between these games, so maybe that'll help them a little bit. Because usually I always hate when Tech plays West Virginia because it's always the longest trip. We talked about that last year. We're like, brain fog.
Yep.
But surely they're not.
I think West Virginia goes to BYU and then comes back and plays us. So
maybe they will. I'm talking about us. But surely we're not going to Cincinnati on Saturday, flying home and then flying back to West Virginia.
You're saying they stay.
Surely we stay and then just
I hope so too.
If we do that, that would make me feel better because you don't have that long trip to West Virginia, which always it seems to exhaust our teams in every sport. It's always a weird vibe.
Weird place,
in Morgantown. So we'll be able to avoid that. Maybe that'll help us.
Okay, I'm here for it.
We know all the vibes we can get, so I'm excited for them.
Me too.
It's on them, y'all. It's on them. They know this. It's a really big chance. They need to go to Cincinnati and win that game. That's the really important one, if I'm being honest. West Virginia would be a huge, huge win. It would. You'd turn some heads if you go 2-0 in this week, but you absolutely need to go to Cincinnati. I'm not saying must win because it's too early in the season. You could make it up later, but you make your life really hard if you don't win that win. So
this would be nice.
Prove that you can do it. Go on the road. Take that fight. You grew up a lot in this last week, I think, since your last road game. So I'm hopeful they can get it done. And I'm excited to see them have a chance because I know they're antsy and they're ready to do it. So I think we'll see a better, more fight than we've seen on the road, for sure. But Cincinnati's can bring that fight too. So I'm ready for it. It's been way too long since we've
I know. We're bored over here, gals. Yeah, it'll be honestly fun matchups to watch. So yeah, again, Cincinnati coming up on Saturday, West Virginia on Tuesday, and then a really cool thing that we've been noticing on Twitter or on Twitter. I think it's probably in a variety of different places. But these player interviews, because we had somebody reach out to us and ask.
Oh, the team one,
yeah.
Someone asked if we had seen the feature. Cindy on Facebook asked if we'd seen the feature on Bailey and if the team was doing more of those. I have seen it. I assume you watched the feature on Bailey, right?
Yeah, it was cool. It's with Zeri. She's done really great
one
work.
With Riley. That is really good too. Cindy, if you're watching and haven't seen that, go watch it.
Yeah, please do. But Bailey's is good too because oh my gosh, we've talked about her country girl, farm life, and
I'm fake. That's real.
I know. I'm still kind of ignorant to all of that. I ask you all the time, you tell me cows or whatever you say to me, but Bailey's talking oh my gosh, I can see so much of, and also how much of her and that personal story and her upbringing and seeing it on the court. It's so cool to have that connection. Yeah, so all tracks. So definitely go watch him. They're really great. And Zuri, another past player for this team. So love to see that connection, and she does a great job. and it's clear that the players enjoy it or enjoy being with her and enjoy that process, I hope, because we certainly love hearing the stories and ever having them on this show. But
Thank you.
it's
no,
cool.
they're good. Go watch them. And Cindy also asked how many. I think they said before the season, don't quote me, I believe they said there's going to be 5 parts to that series.
Cool.
They've only done 2 and we're pretty deep in the season, so those things never happened as planned, being in those shoes before, so I'm sure things get busy, but they had 5 planned. We'll see if they all come out, but I'm sure, I would say the majority of this team, all but one person, has eligibility left after this year, so they could always do them next year pretty much. So you'll stick with them. But yeah, I thought that was cool. Yeah, go watch those. You'll learn a lot about the players. The cool thing about this team is they're just good people. Like they're good human beings. Like, all of them are good, and you learn that about Bailey and you learn that about Riley, but really impressive, like the status that she has in West Texas. I don't know if everyone realizes how like big of a deal she is in basketball in West Texas. And you go to games and there's just like mobs of children that come to Bailey after every game, and she's what, 19 or 20? Handles this with such grace. Yeah, she's a killer on the court. She might talk a little on the court and all that and have fun, but she's just like a genuinely good, mature young lady off the court, as is everybody on this team. So you really just be proud, I promise y'all, of all these players. Have them represent your university and go watch those because you get to know them. That's why we try to do what we do with this show, this show, and tell their stories. But Zuri does a great job with those. So yes, Cindy, we've seen them. There should be more on the way from our understanding. But there's one with Riley existing if you haven't seen that.
Riley's is good too. Yeah, that's great.
Very inspirational.
As usual. But yeah, that's all I think for the women's side of things. Wow, look at us. Made it. This is gonna be a short episode. Okay.
Well, I don't know that we have a lot more planned because we didn't know how much
we're just
want to talk about.
Two liars up here. No, we got some men's basketball. A really like evenly matched in some ways, but a close game, a fun, thrilling game against Oklahoma. They ended up winning 85-84. You said
fun one.
Yeah, you watched that one. That was a fun one from what I can remember seeing.
Chance McMillan was the one that really went
freshman of the week too on the Big 12 side.
I don't think he's not a freshman. He's a junior.
What did he get? Like Big 12 player?
Probably Big 12 player of the week. He had 27 points. If he got something, maybe that's what he got. I don't know. And he might have had a good game in the game before that as well. So he's been playing well. He was like 6 from 8 from 3 in that game. He is a shooter.
He is.
The guy can shoot. And there's a lot of really good shooters on this team. It's weird watching this team this year. I'm still getting used to it, to be honest. We're like the top efficiency offense in the Big 12 on the men's side.
Yeah.
But like the worst defensive team on the men's side. It's so opposite of previous years that it breaks my brain when I watch this, because I'm like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. Look at they're passing the ball. They're moving. Shots. They're getting open shots. They're making threes. It's so pretty. And then we give up some
on the other side of the court. Yeah. You're like, what?
And so it's weird. And that's because they lost Cambridge to injury, and that really hurt them. They were much better defensively before he went out. Their versatility really dropped on that end. And then you inserted someone like Kerwin Walton on offense instead, who's so much better offensively. So it kind of shifted. And that's why you like McCaslin, is he, similar to what we say about the women's coaches, he's not afraid to coach. He's like, well, cool, I'd love for them to be playing better defense, but I know these are a bunch of really, really skilled offensive players. We'll get better at defense each game. We'll work on that. But he's not going to like hold them back and not let them go be who they are. So yes, they need to get better at defense. They're working on it. They struggle at rebounding. Again, that's part of the injuries there. But to be 5-2 at this point, I mean, I'll take it.
Good job. Yeah, y'all are doing great. Especially like this is Grant's first year too. I sometimes get lost on that. Like he seems like he's been here forever in some ways, but I've really appreciated his energy and what I've seen from Grant. And I will never not think of his name as Grant McGaslin. I don't know who made that meme, but he brings the energy like Tyler's talking about with the USA rocking at the end of the men's game.
No, they put the men's game on the Jumbotron at the end of
women's
the
game.
during the women's game, I think at halftime, because the men's was ending or vice versa, somewhere in there.
That's
So,
awesome. But yeah, that support and seeing how both of these programs are doing really well. And I know that there's panic in some ways or stress, and we'll talk about that with their next game that they had where they lost to TCU. But overall, really impressive what we're seeing from his strategies and his connections that he's making quickly in his
Yeah.
first season. I think that's one of the highlights already is just seeing that adjustment given a really challenging last 5 years, however long it's been for the men's program. It's just been a little tough. Emotional roller coaster, to say the least.
Highs of highs,
We are
and lows of lows on that side of things.
We are just doing our best out here. So yeah, really cool.
I'm just like, I'm just happy. I'm just glad that we have a good human. Everybody seems happy. Let's go win some basketball games. They're doing that. But yeah, the OU game, they were down again in that when they came back. It's been their thing. It is a risky way to play basketball. And it could all fall apart real quick doing that over time. All these crazy runs we give up, and then we need a crazy run of our own to come back. That's kind of how they're winning these games, and that's how they kind of lost at TCU. Same kind of thing. But
yeah,
they're doing what they right now. Again, they've won 5, so you'll take it. That TCU one, there was opportunities there to win that. I think they kind of played with their food as well, same as the women in TCU early in that game.
Frog legs are delicious.
Like TCU had 2 6+ minute scoring droughts, and they still won.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It's pretty tough.
That is tough.
So we didn't take advantage of the times we were playing good defense to get up enough. Where when TCU was making crazy threes, they're not a good 3-point shooting team, and they were making threes. I think they shot 55% from 3. That's just not something they do. Like the women's game we talked about, they shot 65%, which is still crazy high, but that is like what they do.
Right.
It's not what the men's team does, and they shot 55%. So it's like
okay.
Tip your cap. It's like, cool, man. So it happens. They were at home. We give them too many rebounds, but again, I don't really know. They're working on that end, but I don't know that you're going to see like a huge improvement in that area. I know people are wanting that, but it's not that straightforward. I think there's some players you would like to see a little bit more physicality from at their size and their position. But overall, after Cambridge went out, they're playing a lot of guys out on the perimeter. So that's kind of is what it is. But I'm interested to see how they continue to go this season. They put themselves in a good position to make the tournament at this point, but a lot of games left, so they need to get back on the right track. And y'all go be at the USA on Saturday. Support them. You can watch the women's game and then get over to the USA because they're finally, for the first time in a long time, not at the same time. Thank you, Big 12.
Yeah.
My heart cannot keep
That's a lot to ask of Red Raiders.
Exhausting.
You have to understand.
Just emotionally exhausting.
It's really tough.
So, the women will play at 1 Central and the men play at 5 Central at women on the road, men are at home. So you can go over to the USA, pack the place, help them get a win against Cincinnati, who has won some big games in Big 12 play, lost some games. They're kind of on a roller coaster themselves on the men's side, but you need to get back on the right track and win that game. So y'all go support them. Let's get it done.
And then they have an away game with Baylor, number 18 right now. So, we talked about this, I think, a couple episodes ago, but
every game,
y'all, every win is just so earned.
Every single one.
It is so earned, which makes it feel so good when we win, but it also makes it so tough when we lose.
Yeah, you're like, oh damn,
oh no. And I think that's what TCU was, seeing some of social media doing social media. It's like,
people are so dramatic. Yeah, but I get it. Fan is short for fanatic. We all get emotional. But I was like watching that game, like, I'm bummed we lost, but like I wasn't super upset.
We look good.
Like that's tough calls and some less than stellar possessions at the end, but fixable things. We move on. Not last year. You watched games last year, you're like, somebody take me away from this place. I don't want to be here.
I wish I didn't go to
It was painful, and now we know why. It wasn't necessarily the players' fault. We know what was going on. They just weren't. They didn't want to be there either. So this year, like, they seem the vibes are vibing.
Correct. Yeah. That seems good. So yeah, that's what they got coming up, and then we'll talk to y'all again before we talk about the rest of their season. So I think that's what we have on the men's side. Correct? Anything on your end? for men's basketball?
We're good there. Let's do track real quick because we don't
Yeah.
really have a lot on track, but the men's team remained number 1 in the nation. Still
It's like
doing their thing.
Scheduled tweet.
Especially at this point in the year. And the women are 13th in the country. It's a weird point in track because they're all warming up. Like they gotta warm their bodies up and come out of these off season, these long break that they had. So some people are competing one week.
Yeah.
The next they're not. Like we had a couple people make their season debuts this week, and then we had people that didn't compete, that had been competing, didn't compete this week. So it's really hard to really follow them. But we had some, I think Antoine Andrews, I believe, had his season debut and got first in his event. And Rosemary Chukwuma came out. I think she got second in the 60. I believe she went to nationals last year in like the 100 or something. She's one of our better athletes on the women's side, but she hadn't been running yet, so it was good to see her get out there. And those are kind of the big takeaways for me. Everyone else is doing. There's a guy competing in the heptathlon today that finished the first day in third place. I saw that right before we started recording. So anyone that does heptathlons or decathlons, y'all are crazy human beings. So all respect to them.
Superhuman type stuff right there. That's for sure. So
but keep an eye on them. We'll get into. I think they're up at Kansas State this week, maybe. At least part of the team is. Like that was the weird thing last week. They sent half the team to one place. They were all over the country. Then we'll get, as the season goes along, they'll get into the full meets that kind of their whole team's together.
We're all home.
But they're all kind of in warm up mode right now. So we'll see them as they go. But March it'll start to heat up for them for sure. But yeah, that's track. And then tennis. We talked about tennis last week. The women went up there and they played a couple top 25 teams, and I think they lost to both of them, but we had some individual efforts that they did good. So keep your eye on them. And then I believe golf is like ranked in the top 25 already on the men's side. So one tournament in.
Our golf program too. Yeah, just being impressive lately in the news with like Shannon going pro and Ludwig last season. It's a really cool.
Who knew Texas Tech was going to become a golf school?
I think that like that's kind of it. That's kind of how Texas Tech is. You know, you remember like our meat judging team? They're good.
Yeah, they're really good.
Chess, debate, like we're all over. So always impressive there. And then
speaking of a team that's going to win some national championships, Sibby. Softball.
Welcome to this frame of mind. I love it.
They're coming. Softball's coming. So it's going to take some time to get up to OU of the world level, but we're going to the World Series sooner than later.
Yeah. For real.
Softball kicks off their season next weekend, y'all. Stay tuned for that. They go over to Florida State and they play the national runner-up Florida State in a tournament there, as well as some other opponents. But that's a fun one to start. They have a lot of really tough non-con games. That's on purpose because they really want to make the tournament. And they know that they got to give themselves a chance. By playing hard, they got to play hard people. So they're not shying away from it. They're giving themselves the best shot to do that. It starts next weekend in Florida, in Tallahassee. And before that, though, if you'd like to give them a send-off, if you will, say hey, stay tuned to the team's socials, but they're having a fan day on February 4th. I believe that's Sunday. This coming Sunday?
Yeah.
Is that right?
What year is it? Yes, that's a Sunday.
It's this Sunday. Stay tuned. I think you can go meet the team, sign autographs, hang out, see the dogs, see the coach. It's a fun group. We've had a chance to interview the coach, which you can watch now. It's on YouTube. We have one coming up with Sage Hoover early next week, which is great.
Stellar pitcher.
We knew Sage Hoover was competitive. We learned that Sage Hoover is her.
It's her.
Like her mindset is. You're going to be very impressed by this interview. Came away very impressed with her as an athlete. Yeah. And Kaylee Wyckoff, I know y'all were already impressed with as an athlete. Y'all saw what she did last year. We got a chance to talk to her. And it was interesting getting to know her and her personality a little bit more and the way she goes about what she does. So both of those will be coming out, and we're going to try to talk to some of them during the season as well, as they do big things and bring them on the show. So we'll be hyping up softball for the next few months. So
it's already here. It's already here. But yeah, really great interviews. And Sage Hoover, Kaylee Wyckoff, if y'all are just joining for the first time, those are two names that are really
ace pitcher and the lead. Well, it's hard to pick who's going to be the ace pitcher or the lead hitter, but last year that would have been the ones that are left. So
so they had a lot of great things to say, both about their career, but also about their teammates. So we threw up some fun
curveballs, if you will.
some
Some
change
curve-
ups.
Some either one, yeah, either one works, and they hit them out of the park.
I just love change ups,
You
dude.
do.
I just
Sibby,
love how they
you learn
look.
nothing else about Sibby and her softball
Big
coverage.
change up gal.
She became a big fan of off-speed pitches
Off
last year.
speed is fun.
She's learning.
I don't.
That's gonna be. We're just gonna have the Sibby off-speed segment of every game.
Cool. So Sage can lead that, and then Kaylee's going to tell us how she hits dingers off of them every single time.
Yeah.
But yeah, really great interviews. But yeah, softball's here. Great team. And that Coach Snyder interview was really good too. And yeah. So good stuff over there on our YouTube channel. So make sure you go check it out.
Go check it out, y'all.
Yeah.
I think that's all we got.
Hey,
go get some sleep.
Record. It's a record.
Yeah, we tried to get you out here a little early. It didn't work out too well.
Okay.
Shocking, but
hey, you know what?
Yeah, watch the teams this weekend. Go to the men's game in person. Lady Raiders play on the road. Watch them. Tweet loud if you're not there. If you live in Cincinnati, go be obnoxious AF.
Do it.
For them sitting behind their bench. And same thing on Tuesday. If you live near Morgantown, get there and give them some fun. But yeah, basketball is really heating up. Things are coming down the wire. Hopefully this time next week we're talking some fun stuff on both teams' side as we eke over into the second half. So I'm excited. But yeah, keep an eye on all the sports happening and get ready for softball's right around the corner, and all the sports are heating up. So yeah,
let's do it.
That's all I got.
Awesome. All right.
Wreck 'em.
Until next time, y'all. Wreck 'em.